Hey guys, we're doing something a little different today. I'm going to tell you a story about the time I was exposed to carbon monoxide poisoning in flight. All right, let's back this story up a little bit. About a year and a half ago, I want to say last February, just before COVID, I had the experience of going and being on the show in the hangar while it was being recorded. And that's on the channel Taking Off. You should definitely check them out. They've got a lot of great fun content, news stories, and things like that. But while I was there was another person who was telling their story and being interviewed. His name was Dan Bass. Dan Bass is literally a walking miracle. He took his plane off and was flying and had carbon monoxide poisoning and passed out from it in flight. And his airplane ended up crashing in a field in such a way that he was able to walk away from that experience. After talking with him and hearing his story, it really compelled me to be thinking more about carbon monoxide when I fly. And so later on, I connected with Dan. I'm like, hey, let's talk about carbon monoxide on my channel. I want people to know what it is, the effects of it, and what they can do to curb against carbon monoxide so this type of situation doesn't happen to them. And we made that video, and I'll put a link for it down in the description if you want to watch it. Very, very powerful video. But what came from it was I need to be flying with a digital carbon monoxide reader, which I do now. As a lot of you know, I have been starting on my instrument rating. I actually started on it once before, but it didn't work out. So now I am starting it at a flight school, a very good flight school. I'm very excited to be partnering with them on the whole project. So there'll be more on that later. Because I was gonna be doing this at that school, I didn't want to start my instrument training and flying a new plane at the same time. They fly these little Real GX aircraft, which is in their situation a technically advanced aircraft with all of its avionics. And I told them when we were talking about doing this together, hey, I want to get proficient inside the aircraft. I want to be signed off for solo so that I can go and not be learning how to fly it while we're doing the instrument and trying to be precise. And they agreed. So I signed up and had an instructor come, and we were going to go do some maneuvers and things like that. So that morning I was getting all of my stuff together. I wanted to get a couple cameras inside of the airplane so that we could really test things, and I didn't have an extra mount for my digital sensor for carbon monoxide. So I'm like, I'll just leave this here. I know that they take care of the aircraft. Everything's gonna be fine. Let's get rolling. Get the airplane all set up, pre-flighted, get the couple cameras inside of there for testing, and we start up. And the Real GX has like gull wing doors, so they're just hanging up there, and the engine's running. And this is a Rotax 912 engine, and it's running gas like you would put inside of your car. And so while it's running, I can definitely smell the exhaust. And I'm sitting in the pilot seat, and I know that the exhaust manifold is just right down here. And so it's I'm like, of course I'm going to be smelling some exhaust while we're just sitting here with the engine running while I'm going through checklists and things. So I didn't think anything of it. So we go and we do our taxi. It's hot out, so the doors are open, and we get down to the end of the taxiway. We do our run up, and we pull up to the hold short line and let air traffic control. We're ready to go. They give us our clearance. We close those doors really quick and lock them up. And of course, I could still smell the exhaust. And, you know, again, new plane to me. We just closed the doors, and I thought, obviously, I'm going to be smelling this exhaust. It's just residual. It's going to go away in just a little bit. So we go ahead and depart, take off. It was a little squirrely, new airplane, very sensitive controls. It was a lot of fun. But we get to our cruise altitude, and there is a lot of things going on. We're only at about 2,500 feet because we're below a Bravo shelf. It's a technically advanced aircraft, so there's all kinds of new digital gauges and things in front of me that I'm trying to understand. And so I was very, very distracted. So distracted, I really wasn't realizing that the smell of the exhaust was still there. And so when we were in a more straight and level flight out in the practice area, I smelled it again. And I'm like, hey, I still smell a little bit of exhaust. And the instructor I was with, he's like, yeah, I smell a little bit too. but it's, wasn't terribly too much of a cause for alert or concern at that time. So we continued to do different maneuvers. And again, I got distracted because it was just one after another as I'm trying to figure out this airplane, how it stalls, how it turns, how just all the characteristics of how it works. And before too long, or what felt too long, it was time to head on back. And so we got back in that straight and level sustained flight again. And I'm like, I can smell that exhaust still. And I'm like, it should have dissipated by this point at least. And again, I haven't even realized how long we've been flying at that point, which was, I want to say about 0.8 of an hour. So we headed back to the airport and continuing to smell it. And it was at that point that I realized, hey, I've got a small headache. I'm like, that's not a good sign. I shouldn't have a headache right now. And so I mentioned it to him. I'm like, I'm still smelling that exhaust gas, and I'm starting to wonder if there's something wrong. It was at that point I realized that I'm starting to feel fuzzy or foggy inside of my mind. I feel like things aren't firing. Like I can't come up. It's like when you're trying to come up with a word to describe something, you can't remember what that word was. And so we continue inbound to the airport, and we're on final, and I'm recognizing that my headache's getting a little bit worse. I'm feeling this disconnect still, and I said, hey, I think there's a problem. Let's go ahead and land, because we were supposed to do several touch and goes after this. And
I'll tell you what, I feel like I'm feeling some effects of that exhaust, so let's go ahead and just do a landing. Okay. And get out of here. I feel like I'm a little tired, a little brain disconnect going on.
We land the airplane and we go back and we put it away and finish up our paperwork for the day. And that afternoon, I'm sitting at my computer, and that instructor sends me a picture. And he sends me a picture of the engine, and I immediately saw what the problem was. The exhaust manifold was supposed to be held on with a flange, and that flange was missing a bolt, and the exhaust manifold flange was loose, which was allowing exhaust gases to escape into the cowling and thus into the airplane. So a lot of things started firing through my head at this point. I'm like, oh my gosh. I mean, how much longer would it have been before I passed out? Or what other effects would I have felt? Just all these what ifs. And we are very blessed that nothing happened inside of that situation. But like I said in the beginning, they have safe aircraft. They pride themselves on their safety, and no one flew that plane. They investigated it, they found the problem, and they repaired that problem as quickly as possible as soon as we noticed that there was an issue. And I have since flown that plane and not had any smell of exhaust. So my preconceived notions before of this is a new aircraft and this exhaust smell with the windows or the doors open is just a normal thing, and it was not. And recognize that maybe I should have been a more authoritative inside of that. Maybe we shouldn't fly today because I'm smelling this so much, or ask more questions. Is this normal for this aircraft? How long does it last? And those types of things, just so that I knew what was going on. But where this is technically a bad thing, at the same time, it's a good thing. I learned how I start reacting to carbon monoxide. So guys, I can't stress this enough. If you're flying inside of a club, if you're flying inside of a flight school that doesn't have a digital carbon monoxide detector, get your own. Take one, take it flying, fly with it as much as you can, fly with it on occasion, I don't care. Just make sure that you're at least trying to figure out what level of carbon monoxide is inside of the airplane that you have. And in the 172 that I typically fly, it's a 0. It has been since the day I got the sensor and took it in there, and that makes me very, very happy. I fly with the SensorCon now. Don't know if I said this, but they are not sponsoring me. They did send me the product. I do like it, but it's not an affiliate program thing. I get no kickbacks. I get absolutely nothing. But what they did give me was a discount code. So if you guys wanted to get your own, you can have a small discount on that to help get into one, and I highly, highly recommend it. Anyways, guys, I hope that you enjoyed that story. It was a lot of fun for me to tell, a lot of reflection on that, and we can definitely learn from these experiences. And let me know down in the comments if you enjoyed story time, because I would love to get other pilots in here inside of the area, see if I can get some, more famous YouTubers in a story time to tell experiences about emergencies, training experiences, just all kinds of different things in aviation. So let us know down in the comments if you think that would be a good idea, and we'll see if we can make that happen. Anyways, like this video if you liked it, and as always, share your aviation wherever you can, and we'll see you in the next one.